Hi, this is Joyce. I'm Hal. The reason we're doing this video right now is to put on Joyce's Optune arrays and show you how we do it, because she's been wearing it for 16 months and she doesn't have any sores on her head. And we want to show you the technique we use to avoid the sores. So if you want to show down here. So we've got it prepped up. We've done this 40 or 50 times now.
A little more than that.
So we know what to prepare. So I've already cut the white arrays that go on the side of her head. I've cut these opposite, and I cut the little tabs off on opposite sides because they go up by her head, and we don't want the tabs sticking forward because we want to get them as close to her eyes as we can. And then we cut off the long side on these, the tabs over here. And then the other trick, which I haven't done yet, and I'll do this quickly, is to cut up the side of these connections. And we'll show you how because this right here, this connection point right here causes sores, so we want to stop that. One more. So we cut all of them that way. Okay, Joyce, have a seat. The other thing that we do is, so we got the arrays prepared, and then we've also got the tape prepared. We need 9 pieces of tape, about 9 inches long, and that's pre-cut because we don't have a dispenser for this tape.
Show the tape.
But the other thing that we do is, this is a tape that we get from Optune right here. We buy this tape, which is the same thing, but it's 1 inch wide. It's twice as wide as this, and it doesn't have the edge on it. So this sticks better, this comes off too easily. And then these little pads that we make, we take these gauze pads, which we use to clean Joyce's head with the alcohol, and we split that in half, and then we cut this into 4, and that makes these pads, and we'll show you how those are used. So let me get her head cleaned first.
Now, before we do this, we have to prep my head. What I do is I take the arrays off, and I take a shower, and I use a heavy scrub and a nylon mesh cloth to exfoliate my head and all the hair. And then I get out of the shower, and Hal shaves my head with a regular razor.
Yeah, we don't use the electric razor.
And then I get back in the shower, and I exfoliate again using a finer scrub. And then Hal just put alcohol all over my head. It used to hurt a lot, but it doesn't hurt much
Used to it
anymore.
now. So we've got a sore back here, and I'm going to work around that. So the trick with the sores is to make sure that they're always exposed to air. So we take a black one, which goes on the back, see where this is roughly going to fit. And we can just cut a hole out of the array. Got to make sure you don't hit any of the connecting wires inside. Yeah, that should work. And since this is sore, I'm going to put this one on first so we can line it up.
That's out of order.
Normally I put the white ones on the sides first, but I want to get this.
Hey Yoda.
And there's no tab on the bottom, but we're going to fix that later, and we'll show you how to do that. As soon as I get the 4 arrays on, I'll show you how we use the gauze strips.
Yoda. Come here, sweetie. My Yoda.
And then the sores will heal better if they're exposed to the air. So now I'll put on this one on the side over here. And also I cut out the ears, if you notice here, so we can get it down on her head so that the rays don't overlap. And when I put them on, I always shift it back and forth a little bit to avoid sitting the electrodes on the same place where they were before. So that's where they were before, so I'm going to move it a little bit forward.
He wants that. He's creaking around over there.
This is the exciting part right here.
Honey, can you please hand me my phone? When you go over there.
Okay, and then on the other side, and here we have to
My
be
phone, please. Please.
really careful. You might want to move over here. Because this is actually where Joyce's tumor is right here, right frontal lobe. And right here, the skin is very thin, and we've got what we call the dog bone here, which is where her skull was sutured back together again and healed up. So there's actually 2 small dog bones. So I try to keep the pads off of what we call the dog bones. And I do that by twisting the array down a little bit.
This is how many times you've done it, honey.
96
At
times.
least, yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
conservative.
she thinks that we've done this about 95, 96 times.
Or 100.
Because she's been wearing this for 15 months now.
16 months.
16 months.
Yeah. Times 30 divided by 5 days. That
And we haven't had to take any time off at all for sores. And I try and keep it off of her face, but okay. So now we have the 4 arrays on. Now we have to make sure that these connectors sit flat. So we might have to twist the wires a little bit until they sit flat. Because remember, we've cut around the sides of them. And then what we do with the gauze, oops, I knew that was bad. Let's fold it in half and put it under here. And actually what happens here is we're going to tape this side of the electrode down. So what's going to happen is it lifts it off of her head, because this acts like a little fulcrum. And you'll see it when we get it taped down. So the idea is to put a pad right under this, which is the irritation point, and then lift this part off of her head. And also make sure that it sits flat. Now to tape that down, all the pieces of tape are the same length. So we have to tape this down. And here you can see actually that this is indeed not resting against her skull.
Instant facelift, huh?
Yep. Yeah, you can get a nice facelift too with the tape.
You didn't do that there. Or an eyebrow arch, right?
So 4 pieces of tape to hold the connections down. And again, that's off of her head. So the next thing we need to do is route the wires. And for that we need the shorter piece of tape, or the smaller tape.
You want me to hold that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So I route the wires toward the back of her head. And I twist them as I route them. I got it twisted. Oh. And here's a good opportunity here where you can adjust the length of the connectors if you want to, but it's really not all that important. Can you pull a piece of peel off of there? Now what we have to do is anchor this down. So we do that with a triangle of tape. So we get this where we want it with a little bit of give in it. There's one leg of the triangle. And this is pulled down pretty tightly. And we know that Optune says not to put tape over the electrodes, but we haven't found any way to avoid that. There's some contradictory requirements here, but the second leg of the triangle. And then the last leg. And once this is on, this will take
Stop.
quite a bit of pull. And then the last two pieces of tape.
There's still one more after those. Okay.
Are to make sure that the wires stay down and the gauze gets taped down, because what you don't want is, while she's sleeping, for the gauze to catch on something or for the wires to catch on something and lift up. And then this is the touchy spot over here where she doesn't like me to press. So that's really the arrays, and then all we have to do is braid the wires.
I have tape for you.
Okay. So one thing you don't want is this wire to actually pull on the array to lift the array off. So that's why that triangle is important. You know, I said there was a faster way to do this. Okay.
The tape's not sticky anymore. It took you so long.
What?
It took you so long. The tape's
Mm.
probably not sticky anymore.
Okay. So that's essentially the array. There's one more piece of tape to go, which we don't pre-cut. Guesstimate the length. This goes around the back. And that solves the problem of it lifting up at night, like rubbing from the end, because it's tied down. And that's it.